Welcome back. Thank you for remaining with us. My name is Anthony and I am your host. You're watching Financial Markets and we are looking into the stock market here in Uganda. The information is courtesy of the Uganda Securities Exchange. Just a humble reminder still from Uganda Securities Exchange that Bank of Baroda today is holding their annual general meeting, and as I speak it's exactly 7 minutes past the hour, and definitely the meeting has just begun, and definitely now you should be logging into the meeting if you're a shareholder there in Bank of Baroda. One of the things they're going to discuss is the financial results of the year 2021, which are going to be presented by the company's directors, board of directors, and then they will also be discussing the dividend payment of 10 Ugandan shillings for every share. That is subject to approval of the shareholders, yet to be declared after approval after this annual general meeting. A very significant moment there for every shareholder. Every time your company is holding an annual general meeting, this is your mandate. It's your responsibility as a shareholder, as an owner of a part owner of this company, to take part in such important decision making for the company and listen from the different stakeholders on the performance of this particular company. So Bank of Baroda, one of the most traded stock, matter of fact, on the Uganda Securities Exchange, has kicked off the annual general meeting probably by now, and definitely you should be catching it if you are a shareholder there at Bank of Baroda. But coming back here on the stock market yesterday, one of the gainers who came out on top was East African Breweries Limited, cross-listed of course from Kenya as well. Now we see that he went up by 12.49 points, up to 0.28%. That is definitely East African Breweries Limited for you. East African Breweries, you can see on that graph there that he is one of the people that have maintained prices of as high as 4,500, and for the past couple of months you can see that there is a steady decline as well in pricing for this particular stock. Looking at the month of September and October there in 2021, with the high prices as high as 6,000, if you can see that, and then they came down to prices as low as 5,000 around the month of November in the same year 2021, and this 5k price was of course the average for some time. You can see with a few fluctuations, but still around the average for this particular stock. But then we can see that the company came down a little in the month of March 2022. After this decline in the month of March, we can see that there was also a sharp decline here at around the month of June and starting the month of July as well. But then we see the company coming back up to the prices of about 4,400, 4,500, and just yesterday we see a daily gain of 12.49 Ugandan shillings that brought the company to a price of 4,469.14. Now, looking into this company, we see the public stock the public stock for this company, is worth about 3.53 trillion Ugandan shillings. And this is about 16.7% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange. The company is one of the oldest companies, not only in the brewery sector, but the oldest really companies in the region, in East Africa. We're seeing a company that is almost 100 years since its inception in 1922. East African Breweries Limited is the group holding company, and of course, with an annual turnover of about 325 million US dollars per year there. Then we see that East African Breweries also owns 100% of the East African Breweries Limited in Kenya, and we see that it also holds 100% of Central Glass and Kenya Maltings shares there. And in Uganda, it owns 93% of Uganda Breweries Limited, while in Tanzania, it owns 86% of Kibo breweries there. The company has been listed since 2001, the 27th of March 2001, and has been trading on on Uganda Security Exchange since then. And we see that currently it is the fourth most valuable stock, coming after, of course, the Equity Bank, coming after we saw there in the third position KCB. Now we're seeing East African Breweries coming in place number 4 on the most valuable stocks in Uganda, with the capital market capitalization of 3.53 trillion Ugandan shillings, which is about 16.7% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange equity market. Now let's look into the board of directors. The company is headed by Mr. David Cohen, who is Andrew David Cohen, who is a 56-year-old executive officer who has been the chief executive officer since 2016. The company's chairman for board of directors is Mr. Charles Kahara Muchene, who is a 65-year-old, and the board is composed of 11 members there. Then this particular stock also has competitors that are dealing in industrial services, consumer goods or services, as well as the beverages industry. And this is British American Tobacco Uganda, who has a capitalization of 736 billion and has a year-to-date performance of maybe 50%. So meaning East African Breweries definitely comes on top of that company there. That is East African Breweries. Moving on to Nation Media Group. We see Nation Media Group yesterday came in the third position, and Nation Media Group is listed on the Uganda Security Exchange since 2010. That is for over 12 years. And the Nation Media Group trades under the name NMG, as you can see there on your screen. And this company went up by 1.62 Ugandan shillings to prices as high as 579.78 Ugandan shillings. And the Nation Media Group are issuers of stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, but they're a media house based in Kenya, with subsidiaries also in Uganda as well. And we can see that they last year, looking at this graph here, around the month of September, we see that the prices were even higher than 800, but around the line of 800. And we see there was a significant drop there in pricings, a very rapid drop, if I could say, between the month of September and the month of January 2022. And then we see that the price came down from 800 Ugandan shillings down to 700, and then down to 600 in just a period of 2-3 months. You can see beginning last year and also ending starting this year. Actually ending last year, beginning this year, January 2022, as we can see here on this particular graph. And we see that the prices are averaging about 500 shillings around the year 2022. We're seeing those averages at 500 shillings. And this particular stock yesterday gained by 1.62 to come out at 579.78 Ugandan shillings. That's a 0.28% increase in price for this particular stock. This stock is the 14th most valuable stock, and it currently has a total market capitalization of 109 billion Ugandan shillings, which is about 0.517% of the Uganda Securities Exchange and the entire Securities Exchange equity market. And we see that the opening day prices here are not mentioned definitely. And then we see the shares outstanding, the total shares outstanding for this company are over 189 million at a market capitalization of about 109 billion Ugandan shillings. And this is Nation Media Group. You can consider buying stock in this company if you're a long-term investor. As you can see, it is something that has really come down way up from 600 to 500. And as much as I'm concerned, this is something for long-term investors alone who are willing to wait a little longer. Like I said, all these stocks that are based in Kenya and cross-listed on Uganda, people sometimes would rather maybe go and buy shares on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, which is something really I wouldn't advise, but at least that's what most people are doing, because they look at activity. They look at where people are buying, where there's aggressiveness, where there is a market where they can see liquidity, quick return, they're able to buy quickly and be able to sell quickly. That's why we don't see much volumes trading, for example, on the NMG counter in the Uganda Security Exchange on a daily, even in the last several months on this particular counter. Now, moving away from Nation Media Group, the next gainer was Equity Bank Limited, who came in position number 4. Now, Equity Bank Limited, as we all know, is one of the people that drive this market crazy with their high market capitalization. The company has a total capitalization of over 5.25 trillion and is the most valuable stock on the market. However, in terms of activity, we don't see much much activity on the stock market in this particular counter. But yesterday we see that the price went up by 3.96 Ugandan shillings to a price of 1,417.24, which was a 0.28% drop in pricings. And this definitely counter, you can see, had averages of about 116 on the graph, where most of those points on the curve are cutting across that line of 1,600, looking at the month of September 2021 all the way to the month of April 2022. But we see a significant decline in price early this year in around the month of April to the month of July. We see very, very sharp declines there on that curve to hitting lows of over 1,200 and then going up back to the 1,400 mark, where we are seeing the company's stock pricings today. Now, this particular stock, looking onto the exchange, was listed on the 18th of June 2009, so it has been on the market for over about 13, 14 years, and we see that it has a market capitalization of 5.25 trillion, making about 2.48% of the total, 24.8% of the total market capitalization of the Uganda Securities Exchange. And down to, for example, the shares outstanding for the company, we have 3.7 billion shares that are outstanding on the main board of the exchange. And the company is one of also the not very old companies, but one of the companies that are in the banking sector for some time, since October 22nd, 1984, when it was found, and deals in the financial services sector. Its competitors, of course, are those that deal in the financial services, and looking into other competitors like Bank of Baroda, KCB, the company has the highest ranking, value of stock. But in terms of year-to-date performance, we see that there are some companies that are coming ahead of the company, like, for example, DFCU Bank at a 5.17% loss only, then Jubilee Holdings, and then Stanbic Bank, and a couple of other competitors as well. Is it an investable stock? Yes, but liquidity is still lacking. All these counters, the problem is liquidity. You will take very long to find someone really willing to buy stock in a company, for example, like Equity Bank, where they know they will not be able to sell in a very long time. And that is the challenge we are trying to address here, to see that you and I take part in the market and see that we see growth on our stocks, and we see value for our stock also go up. Now, the other gainer was Jubilee Holdings. Just to talk about a little bit briefly, Jubilee Holdings went up by 22.25, but that did not change much on the curve. We see that that was a 0.28% but the price was still driven to about 7,963.92, which did not change that much for this particular stock. And we see pricings still on average, there was a decline from 12,000 last year to right now 8,000 Ugandan shillings. And that is the Jubilee Holdings stock. The other gainer was Centum, who gained also by 0.89% and 0.89 shillings, and that was also a 0.28% gain to close the market at a 320.81 shillings price. And definitely these are excuse me, these are some of the gainers that we had on the market. 7 of them who came out on top didn't really impact the market, definitely because these are most of all cross listings. And when we look at the all share index of Uganda, we can say that this all share index went down as well, and we see that the all share index went down by 3.93 points despite having all these gainers on the market, and that was a 0.32% loss there for the all share index. But regarding the aggregate performance, MTN Uganda, who came out at the bottom, traded a volume of about 22,800 shares on the stock, and we see the price actually 22,900 shares on the market, and we see the price stabilizing at 185 Ugandan shillings. Moving on to the end of day trading session at the Uganda Securities Exchange, a total of 25,700 shares was traded, corresponding to a market value of 4.796 million, which were traded. And compared with the previous USE trading day, we see that there was a decline of about 80% and in turnover, and the current market capitalization of the USE is 21.2 trillion Ugandan shillings. And that, of course, gives us a little bit of a summary of what went on the Ugandan market. We're going to go into another quick break. We return, we'll look into a little bit of MTN, how it lost, and how many we look at the points, how they moved in favor of MTN or in its disfavor. But we also look into the Nairobi Stock Exchange for that matter, to see how other counters performed, and especially those that gained here in Uganda, to see how they performed also on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Smart 24, driving business.